Well, good morning, everybody. As we start off this Thursday, my first map is just, it's one you want to pause the video and have a closer look at, because what you've got here is for every weather forecasting office by the National Weather Service, there's a number, and the number represents the number of days since the last blizzard warning was issued. So, of course, where we have blizzards going on, a blizzard right now going on in parts of the Dakotas and Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, the number is 0. You can also see where the number is 0 in parts of Nevada and down here into Southern California. Now, again, this is the number of days. So yesterday, before the blizzard warnings were issued here, the number was similar to this, 5,528 days. So that's over 15 years since a blizzard warning has been issued here. That just shows you the depth of this trough and how powerful it is, as it's going to stay here over the west into the foreseeable future. So I just thought this is a great map just to kind of really just tell the story of what this pattern is doing right now across the United States. Now let's take a look at how much snow we did get over the last 72 hours. Now this was released just this morning, so this is through 6 a.m. And again, we did have some snow that got into the San Joaquin Valley, and we're going to talk in a moment about how much more is going to get added through the mountains in California and throughout the West. But overall, we saw really good model performance here. We've talked over the last several days about this 6 to 15 inch possibility of getting that much snowfall into this region, and there were a few places that picked up more than that. It's going to be difficult to measure because of the drifts, but this is a lot of snow that just fell through this area. The next few systems that come through are going to probably add a lot to the upper Midwest. I'll show you those in just a few moments. But overall, I know this is a massive travel headache. I know this presents a relatively dangerous situation for a lot of people. But from an ag perspective, when I see this at this point in the year, this is a very, very positive sign for this region because we have a lot of water in that snow. So take a look. This map shows you snow water equivalent. Let's kind of zoom in here pretty far through midnight, and we're looking here at just how much liquid is in all of this snow. Now, we will, in the next week or so, take another very close look at the west because there's a lot more coming to the west, so we'll not focus on that right now. But the point is just to show that we've got 2 to 6+ inches of liquid, some places in the upper Mississippi Basin approaching 9 inches of liquid in the snow right now. And this is just critical. This is very important for the underlying issues we continue to discuss because not only was there snow, but there was ice in through this area. We've seen in some places sleet accumulations, ice accumulations making for very hazardous travel. But you boil it all down and look at the last 72 hours. South of it, heavy rain came out of Missouri, Oklahoma, even parts of eastern Texas, and rolled through Illinois, Indiana, parts of southern Michigan, Ohio, and down into Tennessee, Kentucky. And so to see all of this moisture coming to this area, plus the snow on the northern side, we just have to remember that our main concern for the Midwest is the lingering drought from last fall. So here's the latest update on the 40-inch or 100-centimeter soil moisture profile. And it continues to show there's areas in deficit, but this recent moisture is going to go a long way to helping to kind of rectify that situation. I'm pretty excited about seeing it, despite how treacherous it is in terms of travel and getting around. I did wait to record this morning until the newest drought monitor was released, and so here it is. This is the latest data we've got. And again, we just see drought entrenched, kind of longer standing drought throughout the plains. All right. I'm going to just go ahead and agree with what the National Weather Service is talking about, which is this particular area is going to probably continue to struggle with drought relief, given the trajectory of the next several systems. And the southeastern ridge, which continues to sit in this area, will probably see drought reemerge down here along the Gulf Coast and into Florida, where it's been building with time. But the West stands, especially California, stands to see some significant improvement in the coming days with this. Now, just to kind of show you what the drought scenario looks like in the South, I want to pull up a satellite image from yesterday. Let's go back. And again, with the dry slide of this recent system coming, through the southern plains, there was a very large dust storm that started in New Mexico and Texas and moved into Oklahoma. So you're seeing that dust right into this area. And the bigger issue with this upcoming forecast is that over the next 10 days, we're going to watch several coastal lows that are going to stay far enough offshore to deliver moisture to California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado, including the upper Colorado Basin. But there'll be a region in the upper Midwest, the northern plains of North Dakota, Montana, then into the Pacific Northwest that is drier. You can see the effect of the dry slot on these next few systems out of New Mexico, southeast Colorado, western Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, and then the subtropical ridge, which is keeping so much of the south right along the Gulf Coast drier. But these systems are just going to crank. right in through this particular area. So this is a whole region that's expected to be very wet with this pattern. So I know we often talk about like the haves and have-nots. This particular setup is really kind of illustrating what this deep trough over the west is going to be doing as it runs over the ridge over the southeast in terms of where that flow is going to go. Okay, so pulling up the latest all hazards weather map. The shade of color you've seen through here is all wind chill warning, wind chill advisory, and there's brutally cold air that's coming through here. We still have the blizzard warning till noon today, and there's winter storm warnings that extend into New England. We'll show you the New England snowfall expected soon. But a lot of the attention after this system leaves is going to go over to California, where you can see the blizzard warnings that are currently being issued and what this means in terms of snowpack that's going to be coming into the west. So why don't we just start this off 9 o'clock this morning on Thursday, and let's play forward watching one system leave. So we can see this one here this afternoon, this evening, pressing through parts of the Great Lakes into Ontario. We do need to be on the lookout here for this part of Ontario. Very agriculturally productive area through here, getting some ice. And that system then moves on through New England. You can see most of the heavy snow will be north. There is the risk of additional light ice coming into this area. But that system's out, high pressure and very cold air builds in, scattered showers to the south. But watch California. This is picking up at 2 a.m. on Friday morning, playing through the day on Friday, getting out there into Saturday morning through midday Saturday. And what we're getting here is there's just a coastal low. There's no big atmospheric river event that's pushing all of this moisture into California. It's just a coastal low. And so it's very regional. It's just right there offshore. But to show you how much snow we're expecting here, this is over the next 72 hours, so through Sunday morning, the chance of getting 2 inches of snow. Here's the chances of getting 4 inches of snow. Let's step it up to 8, go to 12, and 18. And at this point, I can kind of zoom in. Whoa, sorry about that. On Southern California. There we go. So here we are. This is the only place left that's getting more than this. That's the probability of 18, 24, and 30 inches. So that next coastal low has this potential. Now, as that low emerges into the plains, we're going to be concerned about Sunday, the possibility, it looks like Sunday night, of an outbreak of strong to severe storms centered on Oklahoma. And so we need to talk about when this next system is going to be there, because this was actually issued yesterday, too, as a day 5 convective outlook. So there's a lot of evidence pointing to a very powerful system coming through the central Oklahoma region. So I'd like to show it to you today by just looking at the models. Let's go right to the GFS versus the ECMWF. Okay, we've seen that system that leaves through New England, excuse me, and then we're watching the one that's following it, just hugging the coast right there. So that is the system we just watched with the high-res NAM. Now that system then pulls into Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. And then on Sunday evening, we start to see, look at the European model, we see this emerging in the plains. And this will be where we begin to watch this. The upper level wave is cutting like this, the surface moisture is coming in like this, and there's a lot of shear in the environment, and it'll definitely destabilize. So you see that right in through there, this is our risk on Sunday evening into Monday, Sunday overnight into Monday morning. We're going to have to watch that system emerge. Now it pulls pretty quickly toward the eastern Great Lakes. So this is another rainfall event for much of the Midwest. Very messy conditions here where all the snow is going to melt. Where could there be snow? I'm really focusing on the European here. Might be in north central Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. But as this system continues to press east, for those of you that are on the West Coast, watch the next one slide south. Ready? So as we go forward, this system then on Monday evening, getting into Tuesday morning, afternoon, and evening, goes through New England, and this might be the big snowmaker for the interior of New England. Now, the models have bounced around considerably with how far to the south the snow is going to be. Could it hit Boston? Could it hit New York? There's a possibility out of that, but there's still a lot of uncertainty as to where the system goes by next Tuesday. Well, we do see those another coastal low coming into California, and that one also emerges in the plains by next Friday. So you can see this pattern. If we just watch this all again and kind of quickly here. 1, 2, 3 systems in the next 10 days. And as we talked about earlier this week, we're on a pace for like 2 systems every 10 days throughout the midsection of the country. Okay, looking at the West Coast specifically, this is the 10-day total accumulated precipitation map. Pause it, have a close look. This is the liquid equivalent side of this. The snow side of it looks something like this. And where you see this color through here, that's where we have over 48 inches predicted by the models. That includes the mountain chains in Southern California. This is adding a lot to the upper Colorado Basin, the snow in Utah, northern Arizona, and even throughout the Cascades, but it's not delivering a lot to the interior of the northern Rockies or Montana. That's a region that's going to be drier overall. And just to show you the latest model forecast through the next 7 days into New England, watch these maps carefully in the reports, because we're going to see how much total snow we can get here, but how far to the south it could possibly move. Okay, the Midwestern systems are going to be much trickier to figure out. How much snow curls around the backside of them, don't know yet. So that system coming out on Sunday to Monday, I'm not confident enough yet to tell you. But this is the probability of getting at least 6 inches over the next 10 days. So that's at least what the European ensemble is suggesting right now. To identify those areas that are going to be dry, because we know will be very wet in through this corridor, this is looking at the probability over the next 10 days of getting less than a half inch of total precipitation. So we're trying to identify those regions that continue to miss out on the heavier precipitation here. But the week 2 forecast continues to keep things above normal throughout the west and very wet throughout parts of the Midwest, Ohio, Mississippi Valley, getting into New England. That southeastern ridge is one of the most dominant features we'll continue to forecast going forward. It's certainly influencing the temperatures. This is the latest National Phenology Network Spring Leaf Index anomaly. It's a way by which we try to gauge how early or late spring is, and a lot of locations down here under the influence of that big ridge are 20 days earlier than normal. And if you look at the temperatures over the next several days here, this is, again, the numbers represent the forecasted highs, and the colors represent anomalies. So many places right here on this boundary, we've already seen the highs. The temperatures are falling here. I'll give you an example right in Champaign. We reached this high temperature a while ago, overnight. Temperatures are quickly falling behind this. And we're off the chart here on my color bar. That means it's more than 40 degrees colder than normal throughout parts of the plains. All right, so this is now Friday, getting into Saturday. By Sunday, there's a big rebound while the west stays cold. That's the next system. Remember, there's one coming through Sunday, Monday, and then that one rolls through, and then it reloads again for the next system next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And that's why over the next 15 days, this temperature pattern doesn't vary too much. As we begin this first full week of March, and to get out there, actually approaching the second week of March in the models, there's some suggestion that some of that colder air could push toward the central plains and the Midwest of the United States, but we have to fully see the strength of the southeastern ridge to know if this is possible. So a lot kind of hangs in the balance here for the mid-March time period, but certainly divided west versus east. And I'll tell you, a pattern like this drives very strong winds. So be prepared for multiple rounds of very strong winds across the whole of the U.S. with this particular pattern. Maybe save the southeast, whether it stays tucked under the ridge. In tonight's report, I will go much deeper into what's going on in South America, plus show you some of the latest official results of that frost event that happened last weekend. But I want to point out that over the next 10 days, we're still looking at drier conditions. This is the probability of getting less than a half inch of total rain in Argentina, while central Brazil sees a high probability of getting over 2 inches of rain. This is going to continue to be an issue in central Brazil as we go forward. So we'll talk about all of it again tonight. Until then, have a good rest of your day. Thanks.